Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Fall Jersey. Joe Archino back here. And there's always pressure in the NFL, but there's no greater pressure than trying to find your quarterback. And right now, I don't know who there's more pressure on, the New York Jets or the Denver Broncos, to really solidify that position on their team. And obviously, the Jets are ongoing in discussions with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the Broncos, they lose out on Brock Osweiler. Peyton Manning retires, so now there is a gigantic void at the most important position for the Denver Broncos. There are reports all over the place. It's mayhem right now in the NFL world. It makes it fun to cover, but I think if you're a GM right now, it's giving you nightmares trying to figure out who's going to be leading your team in the most important position that matters. And Colin Kaepernick is, of course, a name that has been floating out all over the place. The Broncos, the Jets, the Browns, all apparently expressing interest in a trade for Colin Kaepernick. You have reports that Robert Griffin III has gone out to Denver to kind of go and interview there. So there are so many things being reported right now. The Jets, apparently, their reports are that they will not budge on their offer to Ryan Fitzpatrick. We don't know what that offer is, but if you're the Broncos, I think you look at this in terms of in terms of your list of who you want. What is it? Is Colin Kaepernick the most coveted guy out there right now? Is Ryan Fitzpatrick number 2? Is Robert Griffin III even a possibility of a starter? I wouldn't. But I think you look at what Denver did last season, and they certainly didn't win because of their tremendous quarterback play. If you're a team like Denver, who's lost some big pieces during free agency, so certainly they will not be returning to anywhere near as high level of a strength as they won the Super Bowl behind last season, but there's still enough talent there where you feel like you could win without a transcendent quarterback. You could probably still get by with a quarterback like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, because Fitzpatrick is a very unique entity right now, because his demand is certainly higher now than it was because of where the Denver Broncos stand. And you have to ask this question: could Ryan Fitzpatrick win with what the Broncos have? And I think you'd have to say he's got a shot, because, again, the Broncos didn't really win this season behind outstanding quarterback play. Peyton Manning, for the most part, his physical decline reached its peak bigger than we've ever seen it, and Brock Osweiler got a bunch of starts as well. And you'd have to think, based on the offensive weapons that you have there, based on you're not returning as good a defense, but you've still got great playmakers, that he could make the playoff run. And once you get in, you never know what's going to happen. Colin Kaepernick is the other one, is where he's obviously probably got the most potential upside in terms of his athleticism, in terms of what to like about him, what he brings to the game. But he has struggled when it comes to understanding NFL concepts, really complex offensive systems, and certainly the fact that the 49ers have had to simplify the offense for him does not bode well for a team that has just been under the tutelage of Peyton Manning, who has been one of the smartest teams in football. Kind of toning it down a little bit more. I just don't know how well equipped they would be to do that, but certainly there is so much pressure to get it right now. And of course, the New York Jets have made some other moves during free agency. Of course, Matt Forte being the most notable one. And really, when you look at Matt Forte, yeah, he's up there in the age. He's had a lot of wear and tear on his body, but it all comes down to the way that you use him. If you overuse him, then he's not going to hold up very long. But if you balance him with some other players, you've got a chance to preserve and get some great production out of him. And of course, that's what the Jets' plans are going to be. They're not going to ride him. They're not going to really make him the heavy focal emphasis. But I love a guy like Matt Forte if you use him the right way, if you put him in the right positions, because he's so dynamic and so versatile. I mean, in Bears history, the only running back who has more all-purpose yards in their riveting history is Walter Payton. So the fact that this is a guy who's really put up comparable numbers and he has led the NFL in all-purpose yards since really he has come into the NFL, and he is as good a player as it gets when it comes to the versatility, and the versatility department is something the Jets are always in the need for. So for them, using him the right way is a big, big, big priority, but it doesn't really matter unless they get it right at quarterback. It really is so simple to see what wins in the NFL. It's so hard to win in this league, but figuring out what wins is not that hard. And certainly it starts at the quarterback position and then surrounding that quarterback with as much talent as humanly possible. And the Jets have a very talented team. It just, again, none of it matters until they sure up this spot. And as the pressure kind of mounts, and I think if you're the Jets, you look at the position that the Broncos are in now, where they thought that they had this thing figured out, and now they're kind of scrambling because what they thought was bound to happen did not happen, and now they probably have as much pressure as anyone to find out who's going to be our quarterback. Because again, you win nothing. It doesn't matter how many talented players you have on that roster. You can't do anything with it if you don't have a quarterback who can lead you to a certain point in the season. And that's why for the Broncos, they're in desperation mode right now. And why, if you're the Jets, you might want to be a little bit careful with how you play out this situation. Because Ryan Fitzpatrick, before you know it, could become a very, very coveted commodity. And if you're the Broncos and you feel at any point that you can't pull off a trade for a guy like Colin Kaepernick, you're making the call immediately to get Ryan Fitzpatrick because he is the next best option available. And if you're the Broncos at this point, all you can do is get the best guy available. That's all you really can do because the position at quarterback is basically solidified. Once Osweiler signed with the Texans, they needed an answer immediately. And is that answer Ryan Fitzpatrick? I think it's a temporary answer, but with the team that they have, that's okay. Sometimes it's a rebuild project, sometimes it's not. The Broncos roster is in a position where they need a guy like Fitzpatrick because they have a Super Bowl window still available to them. And with a Ryan Fitzpatrick, there's a potential there. So the Jets have got to play this position very carefully. They've made some good moves to this point, but they've got to watch it because, again, if John Elway, who's been very self-aware, has played these situations pretty well for the most part, if he feels like for a second they might not get their top option, he's making the call and he's getting Fitzpatrick. But we will certainly continue to watch out how these situations play out in the next couple of days. Until then, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino. And I'll see everybody next time.